Alright folks, we got a fun one tonight. I haven't given y'all a video in a while messing with bees, so here you go. This one was called into me by my buddy Greg, who I've mentioned before in a few videos. And this was actually an external colony up in a tree limb. You can see the remains of the limb right there. And it was hanging about 20 foot up here in the top of this tree. And he called me about a week ago and he said we had a windstorm and it snapped. The branches snapped and it was hung off about 10 foot up, tangled up in all these vines. But then he texted me today and he said, well, they fell the rest of the way and they're on the ground and they're laying down here in this ditch. So if it rains, and it's supposed to rain here in the next couple of days, they're going to get washed away. So I ran over here tonight and we're going to try to get them to take to our box here. So what I'm going to do for now is just pick up the whole chunk if I can and give it a real good shake. Knock off as many bees as I can and get them running into the box. And then we'll start tearing the combs apart piece by piece to try to see if we can find the queen. I'm not too concerned about it, but I would like to cage her if I can and just get her in here in the box. So we'll get after it and see what happens. I'm sorry I couldn't make a better video for you guys. Y'all probably can't see anything down there, but that's where the hive was in the darkness. I got it all picked up and I set the box over here just up out of the creek, about 3 feet up out of the bottom of the creek. So if we do get a decent rain, hopefully they won't get washed away. We're going to leave them for now. I never did see the queen. I just shook them in as quick as I could. You know, picking through those combs is a pretty big mess. Those open air colonies tend to be all bridged in and woven in and twisted around themselves, lots of little twigs and branches, so it's a big mess. Picked it apart best I could, shook the bees off. Got a big pile of combs over here on the edge of the bridge. We'll just leave them for them to clean up, and you know, if the queen is there, maybe she'll fly over and find her way to the box, or we'll find out tomorrow if all the bees are crawling around on this mess, I guess. I got another 5-gallon bucket full of combs in the back of my truck. But then what we got is up here in the tree. I don't suppose y'all can see for sure what I'm trying to look at, but there is a little cluster of bees up there, maybe another pound of foragers that are up there hanging out. So we'll give them tomorrow to try to fly around and find their new home. And you know, best I can do at this point is hope the queen's in the box and hope they like it. So we'll leave them there for now. Greg said he'd check on them tomorrow and just kind of get an idea of what the activity is, and we'll just kind of play it by ear. We're not supposed to get a real bad rain. I think Friday they're calling for thunderstorms that if it's real bad that could flood this little ditch out, but you know, I think they'll be just fine. Our bigger threat there is probably, you know, some neighbor kids if they find the thing. We're going to cover it up with a camo tarp, try to protect it. But that's it. I'll try to give you all a little update once I get them home, and hope everything goes well. Okay, so we're back out here. It's I guess about 36 hours after we did the work the other night, and I just stopped in to check on the bees. Unfortunately, it was kind of an afterthought, so I didn't have my suit or my smoker or anything like that. But I pulled the tarp off and pulled the lid off just real careful, opened up best I could. But you know, I'm not saying they're mean bees just yet, but certainly without any smoke and anything else, they got a little testy, which the weather sucks today. It's cool and overcast and rainy, so you know, no reason to believe they would have been nice. But I got in there. There's certainly a lot of more bees in the box than there are up here in the tree, which I'll show you in a second. And I pulled one frame out that had the majority of the bees on and tried to look for the queen and eggs just real quick. But again, I was, you know, working real slow and careful, and I couldn't see any eggs. And I didn't see the queen, but again, it's only been 36 hours, so if she shook up, maybe she's not laying just yet, and maybe I'm just blind and couldn't see them. But what we've got is up here in the tree, if you can see right there, is a little cluster of bees, and that's where that nest was hung up. See, it used to be up here, oh, right up here in the top of this broke off tree now, and then it fell down to here. And so there's some smeared comb from where it was hanging, and then you can see that little cluster of bees right here in the middle of the frame. And they are actually building a new comb there now. But you know, I've seen before where a little cluster of queenless bees will still start building comb like that just because they don't know what else to do. So I'm not sure, but there's certainly more bees in the box than there are up there. But for now, I think we're just going to let it ride and kind of see what happens. If anything definitive happens in the next couple of days where all the bees leave that comb or they all leave the box, then I'll know for sure. But you know, if they do try to rebuild a nest up there, it's not going to last. The little twigs aren't going to hold up another big colony. So the only problem is they're not really accessible, so there's nothing I can do about it. Best I can do is maybe take a stick and knock that down, and maybe that disruption would get them all to run into the box. But like I said, they look like they're taken to the box, so we're just going to have to give it a couple more days and see what they do. But you can see we've had I don't know, maybe a half an inch of rain overnight, and this little creek is already running pretty good. So it's a good thing I got to them when I did, because that the nest was laying right there, so it would have been at least, you know, halfway underwater by now, if not washed away, and it's supposed to rain its tail off all day tomorrow. So anyway, there's our box. real nicely camouflaged. It blends in good with all the brown leaves, right? But we're gonna let it ride, and I'll let you. All right, so we're out here this afternoon, I guess day 2 or whatever. And the bees, like I showed y'all this morning, they were clustering up there in the tree a little bit. They're still trying to do it. It looks like there's some sort of seed pod or something hanging down kind of out here all on its own, and they keep wanting to cluster up on that. But what I did was, they were clustered over here in all these vines, and I took a few paper towels and soaked them down with Bee Quick repellent, and I just reached up there on a pole and just draped those towels inside all those vines, and then just was smacking the limb with a pole trying to get them jarred loose and knocked down. But they're pretty adamant, keep going back up there, despite having the box down here. But I checked inside, there's a lot of bees in the box, certainly the majority of them are in the box, but did a quick inspection, still couldn't find the queen, couldn't find any eggs, and found a few empty queen cells that they'd pulled out of desperation. So she wasn't in there when I got here. She might be now, but they're not really making me feel too confident. So at this point, we're just gonna let it ride and see what happens. It might take, you know, a couple days for them to make up their mind on what they're gonna do, but we'll just have to see. All right, folks, we're back out here with our honeybees today, and I don't know that it's been maybe 2 weeks. But been pretty crappy weather, especially, I mean, today it's 40 degrees and rainy and cold, so I'm actually going to move these bees during the day. I know they're not going to be flying today with this weather. So Greg reported to me well over a week ago that, you know, there weren't any bees left up in the tree, and he could see good activity on the box. So just kind of take his word for it that hopefully everybody's inside, and hopefully we got us a queen, because when I did the inspection the day after we shook them, it didn't look real good. I didn't see a queen, I didn't see any eggs or anything like that, but it, you know, it was a real brief inspection. I didn't have my veil or anything, so I just took a quick peek, and the bees started getting a little testy. So anyway, we'll get them cleaned up, loaded up here today, and get them home, and we'll give a little update on them once we get a good day and can get a peek at them. Well, look. Oh, just kidding. They went back inside. Moving the box around was enough to at least get them to come out and say hi. There's one down there on the bottom peeking out. Couldn't help myself though. I had to know because it was so quiet. I did pull the feeder off real quick, and there's a good little cluster over here on the far side where the frames are. There's only 6 frames in there, and there was a man, I'd say maybe a 2-pound cluster. They weren't covering the entire length of the frames, and they were only on about 3 frames wide. Balled up pretty tight, but that's understandable. It's cold. I had asked Greg to put some sugar water in the feeder. He said he did. I don't know how much, but there's none left in there now. So they seem to have taken that at least, but I'll get them home, get them set up on the rail in the yard, and definitely get some sugar water put on them as quick as I can, because I know, you know, when I did this, when I shook them out and everything, I didn't move any combs for them. I purely just shook them on to drawn foundation. That was it. So they're going to need some help for sure. But anyway, we got them loaded in the truck, and we're going to get them home. So we're going to put some feed in the feeder here on these bees, but I figured since I was fooling with them, I'll give you guys a quick sneak peek. So you got to look quick because it's cold out. I don't want to have them open any longer than I have to, but let's just slide this feeder back real quick and see what we got. There they are. A bigger cluster than I thought. They're covering about 3.5 frames and over half the frame, so not bad. But with that, like I said, I'm not going to do an inspection to see if there's a queen or anything, so we're just going to set this feeder right back on. I don't want to have them too exposed for too long because it is cold and rainy. But we'll pull the top off here. And then we'll go ahead and pour them in some new feed. Looks like they got some old stuff in here. Nasty cockroach in there. I can't get that old stuff off without, or old stuff out without cleaning without taking the lid back off like I just did. I don't want to do it again. I need like a rag or something. I don't have one. But anyway, I'll just put the feed over on this other side where it's cleaner. I say clean, you can see dirt and stuff, but at least there's not still feed. You can see it's steaming a little bit because I did use hot water. And hey, hopefully that heat will help warm the hive just a little bit for a second. Sure can't hurt. Actually, yeah, I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to rotate this feeder just for funsies. Rotate 180, that'll put that heat right above the cluster. It can't hurt them any, and it might actually help them break cluster and come up and take this feed like they need to. Anyway, we're getting them fed. We'll keep them fed. I'll have to wait for a good sunny day before I come do an inspection. So we're standing out here looking at the, this was the colony that was the open air colony that collapsed. It's the first nice sunny day we've had in probably about 2 weeks, and it's still only about 55 degrees, but it's sunny, and you can see a lot of activity on the landing board for that hive. I don't see any fighting necessarily. I just kind of see bees milling around the entrance, going in, going out. But you can see on my other hives around it, you know, this one over here, just a couple bees coming in and out, and that's what I'm seeing on all the rest of my hives. Is just, you know, steady traffic in and out, but not a, you know, pile of bees on the entrance like this. So, you know, if it was real frantic, panicky activity, I'd be concerned that it was robbing. But I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to kind of figure things out because this is the first day they've come out of the box in a while. I'm really not sure. I did see one around back on the back of the feet of the back corner, not this front corner, but the back one. There's a crack, and there are a couple bees going in and out there, and I saw one bee kind of biting another one's legs. But there, you know, you never know. Anyway, I'm gonna try to get a chance here in just a minute to get in the hive and actually check on them and see, because I've yet to see the queen in this hive, so I'd like to get in there and actually see if there is a queen or if I've just got a box full of orphans.